Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Hairbrush, and with me today, brushing their hair as we all do, are my good friends Eli Copperman and Luke Perkins. Say hi, guys.
What's up, Doc?
I own a mansion and a yacht.
Oh boy, and throughout the review you're going to hear from my good friend Essie McPeter, so he's going to pepper his thoughts all throughout as well, because everyone wanted to do this one, and once you see this short you can clearly see why.
Hello, everyone. This is SC here, talking on Hairbrush.
But a few bits of info to get underway. So as mentioned, this is for Hairbrush, released on the 7th of May 1955. It's the 739th in the series, and it's directed by Friz Freleng. You can find this beautiful restoration on the Bugs Bunny 80th Blu-ray set, and I believe it's on streaming as well, you know, on and off, wherever, it's that kind of thing. It won't be on YouTube though, unless Warner Brothers themselves choose to upload it on their own channel. It is under copyright. I cannot put it on my own reviews. In case you haven't seen this one, we see Elmer Fudd thinks he's a bunny and he's a millionaire who owns a yacht and all that, right? The boardroom executives decide, yep, it's unanimous. We need to put Elmer Fudd in an asylum or a sanitarium in order to cure the fact that he thinks he's a rabbit. Later on, Bugs Bunny gets involved. He's in the sanitarium as well, and he's convinced that he is Elmer Fudd. And we get a whole bunch of hilarity after that, involving the two characters being their opposites. So yeah, we'll go through all of that in this review. A few bits of trivia, not much, but a few. This is one of 3 shorts where Elmer actually wins. So the other 2 are Rabbit Rampage and What's Opera Doc. Although What's Opera Doc, yeah, kinda, sort, you know, anyway, but he technically does. I mean, what did you expect in an opera? A happy ending?
Say, Anthony, wouldn't you consider Bugs Bonnet's a happy ending for both Elmer and Bugs? I mean, what do you expect when they get married? A happy ending?
The music at the end, though, when Elmer does win, that is a parody of the bunny hop, and that was a real dance at the time, and something that we need to bring back, you know. I think the floss is out now, we gotta bring the bunny hop in.
To be fair, we're in the age of nostalgia and not bringing in new art form to everyone, so might as well bring back the past back again and again and again and again.
Yeah, we gotta bring it back. We definitely have to. In terms of this short, okay, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant again, and everyone's probably gonna go, oh boy. The ones that follow this channel a while, they know what's coming. But for those who are new, I hate a lot of the Friz Freleng titles because they do not describe what's in the short itself, and I end up forgetting what they are. Another example, Hairdo. And that's another wonderful Elmer and Bugs short. And when I saw this on the list of reviews to do, I didn't think much of it. But then once I actually saw what short it was, I was like, this one's fantastic. Even though I saw it only for the first time on the Bugs Bunny 80th set, I thought this was a brilliant idea. And not only that, it's also very well executed. But the title betrays it because it's just so damn generic. It's just a stupid hair pun once again.
Well, there's a reason why I'm on Hairbrush and not our friend Manny Cruz. No offense, Manny, I'm sorry.
Now we got to think of a better title for it. If you think, well, okay, smart guy, what other title would you do? I would have done something like, I don't know, Hopping Mad. You know, that makes sense. I mean, what would you guys have titled this one?
Like Hair Brain or something. Like, I know there's the Hair Brain hypnotist, but I mean, it's better than Hairbrush.
Felt like something like Mad as a March Hare, because, you know, if he's gone mad, it's also a pun on the March Hare from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland stories and the 51 Disney movie, because, you know, oh, you can't help that. Most everyone's mad here.
When did you guys first see this short? Was it a similar thing on the Bugs Bunny 80th or elsewhere?
I saw it on Cartoon Network many, many years ago. I guess like the early 2010s. And it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I remember being so used to Bugs winning a lot. So seeing that, this was a good twist on the formula, so to say.
I kind of got a bit into Looney Tunes when I was a kid in the early 2010s, but not fully. Then we get to the early 2020s, and I finally see Hairbrush in its entirety online. And I was like, wow, this is really funny. And I remember loving the short.
So let's take a look at this short from start to finish so we can go through why this short is so well liked, and I dare say a hidden gem. I mean, that's a term I use quite a bit, but it is definitely applicable in this case. So The first shot, I just cracked up laughing. You don't see any animation. You don't see pretty much anything. You just see a bunch of signs. Millionaire Elmer Fudd and all of his companies. The brilliant economic genius of our time. The guy who, while hunting, has no idea what a bunny actually is, despite one talking to him. That economic genius. Wow.
He's clearly a genius if he's that ahead of our time.
I'm tempted to make a joke about a certain millionaire here, but there are kids around.
Spoiler, but Luke, I think that millionaire, he owns a mansion and yacht, but I think he owes a little more than $300,000 in back taxes.
Yeah, we won't open up those can of worms, but we see all of the boardroom members, all of the executives, including one who's holding a cigar. He actually has 4 fingers, which is quite odd. Usually there's 3 fingers and a thumb, but no, this board member, he's so rich that he bought himself another finger. Ah. There we are. There we are. I love the animation where they're calling for Elmer Fudd to come in and he's acting like a bunny and he becomes so shocked and thinking that it's rabbit season and he runs off. Just the animation expression of Elmer just looking like he does in this shot. Fantastic. It's such a great way to set things up. And I love the holds on all the boardroom members just looking at absolute shock. And the one board member says, I think we're all in agreement. He's Looney, pretty much.
What's up, Doc? Oh, it's rabbit season. The hunters will get me.
Something that fascinates me beyond this cartoon and how it's adapted to UPA is more than just the design, the story as well. Warren Foster prepared this great story where Elmer Fudd, he basically snaps at the reality of big business and the cutaways that you have to do in business, as we'll find out at the end of this cartoon why he supposedly snaps. And he really plays against big business. We hear 42nd Street at the beginning, which helps to set it all up. I really got to give it that great commentary vibe because it goes like also beyond just the fact of big business, which was prominent in U.S. culture at this time, is also neurotic therapy. That was all becoming a bit more commonplace in the post-war years in the U.S. And I certainly have to give respect, but it feels like a little bit they didn't know where to go after a certain point, and I'll talk about that later.
It's such a brilliant way to set everything up, all in a matter of like at least 30 seconds or a minute or so. Everything is set up properly, and you get the gist of it immediately. And I also love the reaction shot of all the millionaires because there are no other drawings or in-betweens. It's just one drawing of the shocked look on their face, and that's all you need. It's perfect.
Oh yeah, just making use of the limited budget to just have one image of them just looking shocked. It's perfect.
One thing I really like about this cartoon, as what's been noted, is the design is really great. I know on some of the 1954 Freelings I slagged a little as they struggled to initially adapt to the modernist design, but this is a really gorgeous cartoon, and you're going to see throughout lots of great layout, lots of great stylization, lots of great color choices, really braiding out the best of the color design in this one, I have to say.
The animation is rather limited in a lot of this part, but you see what you need to see, and that's it. It's very economical, but it definitely works. Budgets will have a part to play, but it all works regardless.
Yeah, well, Fritz Freeling was the most economically minded director of the Warner Brothers cartoons.
And we see the chef's kiss to this, the fruitcake sanitarium. It's full of nuts. Beautiful. And I like how you hear very briefly when we see the sign that here we go around the mulberry bush, because we have to hear that, right? When we go somewhere crazy, right?
It's even a bit of a pun title too. Fruitcake Sanitarium, it's full of nuts. Here we go round is also another title. It's like, here we go gathering nuts in May.
I didn't even think of that. That's definitely a good point there, for sure. But, of course, we all know that people at Sanitarium aren't real people, at least as far as the cartoons show. They're funny in a comedic way, because, you know, they don't have mental issues.
Pretty much.
No, clearly not. But I love the look on Elmer in his bunny suit in the bed, though. Just the eyes, the way they're done with the swirling around and that. Perfection. Just, again, Freely knows how to do so much with so little. A few moments later, you know, Elmer sees Bugs Bunny. He just happens to be walking by. Why is he here? We don't know. Maybe he has a relative who's crazy. Visiting Pete Puma and everyone else around here. I don't know. Like, he's just there. It's like, all right. And we don't even need to know that. But it's just funny that he just happens to be there.
This might perhaps be the funniest contrive in any cartoon. Bugs Bunny just happens to be strolling in a mental institute, the Fruitcake Sanatorium. It's full of nuts. Great layout on that little joke, and also just being able to put into focus Elmer, who's been given a rabbit suit. I guess it's a joke that they try to get them worse in sanitariums before they actually try to cure him, but I guess he's also getting special treatment because he's actually getting cured in a sanitary rather than just being left there. So Elmer calls up Bugs, and we get the impression that there's a little bit more at stake because Elmer uses this as an opportunity to escape, and there's some great Art Davis animation. I'm going to keep highlighting the post-shutdown Art Davis animation because it is really funny. I love that scene of Elmer just hopping on the bed before he leaves. It's really funny, and I like some of the dialogue that's also by Art Davis in this. It's really good. We get to the next step of the cartoon where they're going to try to cure Bugs. And we get the most famous quote of this short that a lot of people love to remember about it. I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht.
I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht.
I think that's what carried this short, but also, you know, it is really good all around, but having a quote like that really does help.
So Elmer, I like the subtle bit of animation though, where Elmer calls him over, but Bugs just shrugs and just continues walking on. You know, nice little touch. But of course, it builds up the fact that Elmer has a carrot, and whoosh, Bugs Bunny is in the shot because, of course, it's a carrot. He goes, "Hey,
I love it.
if you open this window and I come in, you got more carrots."
So remember this, folks. If you ever want to bribe a rabbit with anything, don't use money, use carrot.
So-
Oldest trick in the book.
Don't use them in real life rabbits because they don't actually really eat carrots like that. But the shot of a Bugs Bunny who's talking to Arnold, and you can let me out and I'll let you out like that. That shot is actually animated by Ted Bennigsen, who did a lot of animation in this short. He would later become an animator in the McKimson unit.
I briefly highlighted Ted Bonnigsen in the Hare review, but it is interesting to notice his style. Someone, I think it was Mike Cazella, who described him as a pretty competent animator, but he relied a lot on formulas. But I think here it kind of fits the humor pretty well.
Ted Bonnigsen, he was a really good animator. Well, he became one, especially when he worked with Ralph Bakshi before he sadly died pretty early of leukemia. He was battling leukemia as he was working on his scenes for Fritz the Cat. But yeah, he was a talented guy. He just came along a little too late to be someone particularly good on the Warner staff. His animation is serviceable but stiff. It got a little better going ahead when he figured out how to achieve a little bit more pizzazz in the limited animation that he was working in. But I could see why Fritz Freeling disliked his work and had him move to Bob McKimson's unit as soon as Bob McKimson rejoined, which wasn't a given. I'm really glad that Virgil Ross rejoined Freeling's staff because they almost feel kind of empty of a lot of true personality animation or character animation without Virgil Ross, who could achieve a certain cuteness from Holly Pratt's layouts and getting into the very in-depth character moments that Jerry Chinicki and Art Davis didn't necessarily excel at. They were more of action animators, which isn't a bad thing, but having those subtle character moments done very well by Virgil Ross definitely boosted his cartoons a lot.
He manages to keep everything stilted yet full of life and full of energy, especially as Bugs is all convinced that he'll get more carrots if he stays in that sanitarium, you know?
As soon as the door is open, Bugs is like naive about the whole situation, or maybe he knows and he's just playing along, I don't know. But of course, when you open up a cage and you got a bunny in there, what does the bunny typically do? He escapes, and that's exactly what Elmer does, you know? So I just like this whole setup where Elmer's crazy, but you have no idea why. And I love that. I mean, you know why at the end, of course, with the big punchline, but it's such a great thing where they don't go, oh, he's crazy because he had a mental breakdown or whatever. No, he just starts off crazy and that's it. They just go with it. So Bugs is like, yeah, I'll just lie in his bed to keep it warm for him. And in a weird gag, another dad type joke, where it's he's a medicine, he misinterprets the instructions. And so he's like, you know, take 1 teaspoon every hour with water. He just swallows the spoon. Because, you know, we got to have a dad joke, right?
Hey, what's this? Take 1 teaspoon every hour with water. Well, sounds silly to me, but... Ew, nasty medicine teaspoons.
I mean, that joke is pretty relatable to anyone who's ever drank that kind of medicine. That stuff tastes nasty.
This psychiatrist that we end up seeing, I love the design, by the way, and the name, Dr. Oromycin. And around this time, they had the antibiotics coming up called erythromycin. And considering his surname is Mycin, I wonder, that's probably a pun on that. I don't know. I'm no expert on antibiotics, okay? But the name just looks like it's a pun, you know? I love the Vienna type accent that he has in this case. And yeah, Mel Blanc doing all sorts of accents is always a treat. There's no denying that. He notices that Bugs is in his place, but he still thinks it's Elmer, and so he does the whole treatment for him.
Good morning, mister. Ooh, worst case I've ever seen. What's up, Doc? Well, now we'll try a series of experiments to rid you of the notion that you are a rabbit. What's wrong with being a rabbit?
I love the reaction shot of the doctor who, when he sees Bugs, but he still thinks it's Elmer, he looks to the camera and he has these swirls on his eyes. It's like, oh my God, that reaction is gold.
Worst case I've ever seen.
Yeah, of Rabbitinia. And I love the reaction shot of Bugs where it's just all calm and everything. And it's like, what's wrong with being a rabbit? But we got a classic case of misunderstanding or Bugs being intentionally obtuse. I don't know. But either way, it's like, remember, you are Elmer Fudd. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Fudd.
There's nothing wrong with being a rabbit. No. But being a millionaire has its advantages also. Now, if you will just cooperate. Millionaire? Okay, I'll cooperate.
So he reverses it, and the doctor then says, no, I am not Elmer J. Fudd. You are Elmer J. Fudd. And Bugs is like, oh, so you're the insane one.
Now, repeat. I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. Glad to meet you, Mr. Fudd. No, you are Elmer J. Fudd. Oh, I am Elmer J. Fudd.
Swaps him over, and he attempts to psychoanalyze him. Fantastic. Bugs ends up swallowing a capsule, or a tablet capsule.
Now repeat after me. Mr. Fudd, you force me to use much stronger methods. If you will just swallow this capsule, I'm sure we will get much faster results.
I love the effect here. Look at the way that this is actually done. I love it's not just the animation, but it's also the way it's laid out. So you've got the fact that Bugs repeats the line from the doctor says it again, Bugs repeats, and so on, and you get a slow zooming effect in each and every shot. It's so effective, despite the animation being limited. And you can hear at the very end of the last round, I guess, that Bugs is starting to sound like Elmer too. It's such a well done shot there.
And now, repeat after me. I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. Again. I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. Again. I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht.
That just shows you Mel Blanc's talent of like mimicking voices, but not to a point where he's flat out imitating others. If anything, he's putting a spin on characters that he's voiced for years and years and years.
In this short, it also displays just Mel Blanc's talent of playing a character imitating another character, similar to what he did in Rabbit Fire, where he had Bugs imitating Daffy and vice versa. So here, Bugs imitating Elmer Fudd. The programming ends up working. So Bugs is now convinced that he's Elmer Fudd. He even has the speech impediment and everything. And now it's about getting Elmer back into the life he knew. And you see his car with the perfect license plate, or registration plate as we call him here, Elmer J. Fudd, his initials, because why not?
Thank you, Doctor. You really did the trick.
Also, Bugs is killing that costume.
Just love the look of that. It's now all about getting into routine again. And what's the routine? Because it's Wednesday, it's hunting time.
I think this is where I guess people who aren't fans of this short might point out and say it starts off really cool, but then it just turns into a typical like chase cartoon. But I think it still puts a good enough spin on the formula by just having everything that we would expect Bugs to outwit Elmer with, this time vice versa.
Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. Rabbit tracks. Now I gotcha, you screwy rabbit.
What's up, Doc?
I'm inclined to agree with Eli here. The fact that it just sort of devolves into reversal gags between Elmer and Bugs and just typical hunting gags. My guess is that as they were getting this short done or writing it, they had to compromise time because they couldn't figure out what to do to get the length of the short normal. So they just went back and just did a bunch of hunting gags between Bugs and Elmer and reversal roles. It calls to mind the harebrained hypnotist that Freeling did at the very beginning of Bugs' time, where a lot of it is Elmer Fudd is Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny feels so outwit that he, by default, becomes Elmer Fudd. Although in this case, there's a definite personality change, or as Elmer would say, personality. But other gags I noticed is that we also get a fresh hair reuse, sort of, with Elmer becoming Bugs' gun.
Come on out of there or I'll fill you full of lead.
Bang! 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 Click, 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 click. All right, you squirry wabbit. I know where you are. Come out, wabbit, or I'll blast you out.
Bang, bang!
Gotcha.
And we get sort of a callback to the various cave gags, where they would go in a cave and there'd be another animal. We get that with the bear, which is a really nice shot, I must say. Again, this whole cartoon, especially in the forest, it looks beautiful. And really a testament to Holly Pratt's design. But, oh my goodness, that is great design. But I really do think that the short could have been one of their big masterpieces if they could have worked this out better. If you remove all these hunting jokes and you just cut to when he has Elmer cornered, it makes a better cartoon even if it's shorter. But, I mean, it really is almost a masterpiece in that regards, except for the struggle they must have had where they couldn't decide how to extend commentary on this cartoon, so they just added gags. Maybe that appealed to audiences because, well, they're still funny gags, I have to admit, but I really do think that the story falls dead here, especially since Elmer and Bugs and reversal gags, especially when it goes on a little this log, it really isn't funny because they're two differently strong characters, and while a reversal gag can work for a little bit, this kind of goes on too long. I guess that's why the harebrained hypnotist isn't one of my favorites from the early Bugs period, even if it does do a lot of nice character moments. Almost a few more. No, I wouldn't say more than this one, but certainly it definitely does the reversal idea a little better than in this one during this particular section of the cartoon.
I like it a lot. I also want to give a shout out to the backgrounds of the cartoon. Those backgrounds look really lovely, especially when we get to the hunting sequence. There are some nice uses of blue and green, even some warmer colors like red and yellow.
Yeah.
Makes it feel like the implication of the short is that it probably takes place during the fall. And I love the way the bushes are done too, in which there are some lines that are done in a different color and the lines outside the bush are done in the same color as the blue stuff. It looks really cool.
And what's really cool is that, yeah, I think this whole second part of the short is more funnier to us who are into the whole Looney Tunes thing, where we've seen a lot of the shorts, we know the formula, and this one actually twists up the formula. And so it's fun to hear Mel Blanc playing Bugs, and it's fun to hear Arthur Q. Bryan playing Elmer impersonating Bugs. And just seeing the twist on it and hearing these voice actors go all out in that way. And even the animation itself is subtly different. So you got the animator, he's animating Bugs, but animating Bugs impersonating Elmer and so on. There's great little touches like that, which makes this short even better for those of us paying attention.
Oh yeah, it's really funny at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, the gags themselves, if it was your typical Elmer Bugs short, I guess it's just be your stock standard thing where, you know, it'd be very quiet, I'm hunting rabbits, you know. They go to a nearby lake, Bugs dives in, ends up hitting himself on a rock, he goes after the Elmer Bugs, ends up shooting him.
In this short, Bugs tries to do the Elmer Fudd laugh but can't completely do it. And then when Elmer does the what's up, Doc? It's really funny.
And we get a cave sequence, which gives us a few funny gags, which, you know, again, if it was done normally, it would be perfectly fine. This would be pretty funny, where Bugs the bunny is imitating a gun, where the hunter thinks that he's still in the cave.
And some jokes are actually recycled from Fresh Hare with the gun, and they get Wabbit Twubble when it's a sequence with the bear.
But I love the design of this bear. You see him briefly in the cave, just standing there like that. I love that design. This bear it's hilarious.
And then they redo a similar gag from, I guess, Wabbit Twubble, but also Hair Remover. They add a little cherry on top where after the bear thinks that Bugs is dead, he buries him, and then he tries stomping him down, but he accidentally buried him over a cliff, and then Bugs just falls over. That's like a very nice bonus touch.
Again, if this was a regular Bugs and Elmer short, the gags would be still fine, but I think it's even better now that the roles are swapped and we just see how everything is done. I think the writer here, they were smart enough to know not to let this go too long because it is a bit of a gimme for this short, but it doesn't last forever. It's only for essentially one act, which then leads to a wonderful punchline where Bugs is about to catch Elmer, right? No Wabbit's got to outsmart Elmer J. Fudd. And you see this guy, this government agent, I guess, representing the IRS, I'm assuming. And he's like, "Are you Elmer J. Fudd?" And we hear the immortal, beautiful line, "Yes, I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht." Just, okay. Good for you.
Did you say you were Elmer J. Fudd?
Yes, I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht.
Because that, like, is going to make any difference, Bugs.
And, of course, Bugs ends up losing because he owns $300,000 in back taxes.
Special agent, you owe $300,000 in back taxes. I'm afraid you'll have to come with me, Mr. Fudd.
Then here comes the twist. Elmer is like, "I may be a squee rabbit, but I'm not going to Alcatraz," which was still open around this time as well. And a lot of tax evaders ended up going there. And we see the bunny hop as well. But you gotta wonder though, did Elmer genuinely have a breakdown and became a rabbit? Or did he, because he knew that he owed so much in taxes, he did this to get out of it? It's never explained.
Either way, it makes the ending that much funnier at the end of the day.
Maybe Elmer J. Fudd was shockingly clever for just one cartoon and we didn't even notice.
I've always been a big fan of this ending where Elmer gets to outwit Bugs by basically just being mentally cracked, of course, but he uses it to his advantage to avoid the taxes and convince the IRS that he is not Elmer Fudd anymore and Bugs is. It kind of is an oddity, especially since in the Freeling cartoons, it seems like he tended to get arrested, thinking of the Unmentionables and earlier Rabbit Transit with him and Cecil Turtle, where he gets him to admit that he's speeding and he's locked up later by accident. But I really do like this ending. I think it wraps up everything nicely, even if it takes too long to get there. I don't really know what else they could have done, as I've said, but this is a really good cartoon regardless. I do like the almost prolonged ending of Elmer doing the bunny hop. Just, even if you don't get the reference anymore, I mean, the movement is so stupid that you can't help but just giggle at it, especially since it's playing that nice, cheery music.
Well, he may be screwy, but he ain't going to Alcatraz, Doc.
Exactly. But in terms of a rating, this one, again, I know sometimes people feel I overuse the term a hidden gem. This really is one of those, and I think it's hidden by that awful, damn stupid title. It's amazing, and it's even more amazing on a technical level too. So you've got the best of both worlds here. You got a solid short, and you got a solid short on a technical level. What could you want? And this one I'm giving a 9.5 out of 10 because I enjoyed it so much. This really is a great one.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. To me, it is one of those pitch-perfect shorts from start to finish. Everything is set up brilliantly. You get a slow burn from here and there, and then you're given exactly what you want, and then the twist ending is just perfect. It's such a brilliant cartoon to me.
I think I have to give it a 10 out of 10 as well. I really thought about it. Like, I was close to giving it like maybe a 9.5. No, I think it really does deserve a 10 out of 10. It's one of the most underrated Bugs Bunny shorts of all time, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to win everyone over, but for what it did right and for what it was setting out to do, it was pretty funny all in all. So yeah, no, I think it's a masterpiece all through and through.
I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10 as is, because despite being a really good cartoon and almost being great, I still have to give just the points off just because I really do wish that they had figured out something a little better, but it was a business and you don't always have the time to work out everything. It's amazing that they were able to keep the steam rolling as long as it was and that they still had the interest in mind, hearkening to the fact that they were modernizing the cartoon style and story, but clearly it didn't work all the way here, but that doesn't change the fact that this is almost a really good cartoon. But yeah, it's always great just to see the fact that they could keep this interest in Bugs this long.
Plus, it's just another consistent home run for Friz Freeling, in my opinion.
But that will do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And until next time, stay out of Alcatraz. Oh, and bring back the bunny hop. You need that.
Bye. Be sure to use that mansion and yacht.
I may be a schooly wabbit, but I'm not going to Alcatraz.